This is Jacob Matthew Morgan, a 17-year-old autistic boy from Rock Hill, South Carolina, convicted of manslaughter and arson. Jacob started a fire in his own house, which killed Jacob's 14-month-old baby brother. He had an obsession with fire, and he started a fire in 2 separate places. Although Jacob did not give any reason for starting the fire, police said he knowingly left his brother in the home and watched it burn from the outside. During the trial, Jacob Morgan pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter, unlawful conduct towards a child, and third-degree arson. Jacob helplessly started crying and uttering something under his lips as soon as prosecutor Willie Thompson started describing the incident.
The mouse that it would take to set a fire in the bedroom when the child is in the crib sleeping.
This is the part where Jacob kept his head low and prayed when the prosecutor said that it was malicious of him to walk away from the house knowing the child's life was in danger. Jacob was listening anxiously to Judge Dan Malfris's voice as he began reading the sentence.
And at that point, to start a fire in that room is hidden, and to walk away, not trying to extinguish that fire, and immediately starting another fire in the living room, and then to claim it's an accident that it got out of control, that's an extreme recklessness, and that's intent.
Right after the 15-year term of the life sentence was read out, this teen broke down in tears and started screaming, "No, please no," as he realized he wasn't going home for a long, long time now.
Met the burden, so therefore I am going to find that there is probable cause to charge the individual with the bound over for General Sessions Court for both charges.
This is Micheal Madison, a convicted rapist and serial killer from East Cleveland, Ohio. Madison was convicted of killing 3 young African-American women, 18-year-old Sherelda Terry, 28-year-old Shatisha Sheely, and 38-year-old Angela Deskins between October 2012 and July 2013. Police found a decomposing body in his leased garage on July 9, 2013, while responding to the reports of a foul odor. The following day, 2 more bodies were found, one in the backyard and one in a vacant house. His defense tried to present an insanity defense using his violent childhood as a cause, but it did not work, and the jury soon found him guilty of all 14 counts. He stayed nonchalant during the whole trial, and even when the judge sentenced him. This is where the judge is reading out the sentence.
Accordingly, the sentence of death is imposed upon the defendant Micheal Madison on counts 1, 4, and 7.
Right after the sentencing, Van Terry, the father of Madison's victim Sherelda Terry, approached the podium to give a speech about the loss of his daughter, addressing the judge. After saying a few words, he paused and looked at Madison. True to the terrible creature that Micheal Madison is, he gave a sickening laugh. It is at this moment that Van Terry ran after the convict and lunged at the table, attacking Madison. This is Erica Marbutz, and this is Shanita Latrice Cunningham in a courtroom. This lesbian couple was charged with the murder of 3-year-old Serenity Richardson. Serenity's mother, Aisha Richardson, was childhood best friends with Erica. In late October 2009, Aisha brought her daughter for a 2-week stay at Erica's home. Shortly after that, Erica, along with her partner Shanita, whipped her goddaughter Serenity with a belt and a coat hanger, and she had fallen down on the bathroom floor several times. The poor girl was left untreated and eventually succumbed to her injuries. With the hope of leniency, this lesbian couple pleaded guilty to the murder. This is the moment when the couple was sentenced to life in prison, and as they both realized that they would be spending their entire lives behind bars, they collapsed to the ground.
And as such, the court finds it appropriate that each be sentenced to the State Department of Corrections for a period of life. You will get credit for any of the time that you've served. That will be
At this moment, as these women lay down on the ground, someone could be heard screaming from the back. It was Erica's mother shouting at her daughter to get up. She was removed from the courtroom after this dramatic scene. The two women continued wailing and hyperventilating, so they were wheeled out of the court by the officials. This is Tony Farmer, a 17-year-old basketball star who was convicted of robbery, assaulting, and kidnapping his former girlfriend, Andrea Lane. He had a promising basketball career, earning him a position among the nation's top 100 high school recruits. He was just a year shy of becoming a star athlete in college and a potential NBA player in 2012, when it all came crashing down. Tony was caught on surveillance video from Andrea Lane's Bedford Heights apartment lobby in Cleveland, Ohio. The disturbing video shows him dragging her by the hair and violently striking her several times. Tony was initially charged with robbery, felonious assault, and kidnapping of his ex, Andrea. He was subsequently released on bond. While out, he violated the no-contact order that was placed to protect the victim. He was so agitated during the original attack that even when Andrea tried to flee from his grip and get inside the apartment building, he dragged her out and kicked her 4 more times in the head. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison as a punishment for his crimes. Interestingly enough, Andrea does not seem to think of Tony as a violent person, but as a good man. She was seen in the courtroom pleading before the judge for leniency in the sentence.
I don't know what was wrong with him that day. I know he was a good person. I hope he still is. I hope he learns from this.
However, the judge was not sympathetic to him. She believed that Tony had to face the consequences of his crime and chose to put him away. As she was reading the sentences, Tony looked in disbelief back and forth between the judge and his lawyer, even asking his lawyer in a whispering voice for some confirmation.
As to count 2 in that case, felonious assault, a felony of the 2nd degree, it is ordered that the defendant shall serve a term of 2 years in prison on that count.
Not prepared for the sentences, this 6'7" tall basketball star collapsed to the ground, crying in the courtroom as the judge read out the further sentences. As Tony wept laying on the floor, family members sitting at the back could be seen crying.
Orders that the defendant shall serve a term of 2 years on that count as well.
This is Esteban Carpio, a convicted prison inmate from Boston, Massachusetts. In 2005, 2 detectives from Providence Police were questioning him regarding stabbing an 85-year-old woman. At some point, one of the detectives left the room to grab a glass of water for Esteban, leaving Police Detective Sergeant James L. Allen alone in the room with him. Once the other detective had left the room, Esteban seized this opportunity to snatch James's gun and brutally shot him twice, killing the 50-year-old police detective. He then jumped out of an adjoining window of the 3rd-story room, but was apprehended 45 minutes later. This is where he was first brought into court wearing a plastic mask that stops offenders from biting and spitting. He had red and swollen eyes, cheeks, and forehead. One of his family members could be seen screaming, cursing, and acting inappropriately as soon as he entered the courtroom. Esteban's family made accusations of police brutality as a cause of the injuries on his face.
It's first police brutality. He was mentally ill and he needed help and we couldn't get it. We tried and tried. And he didn't deserve this.
However, an FBI investigation concluded that no police brutality was involved. His wounds were sustained as a result of the 3rd-story jump from the window and the ensuing struggle with the authorities. He stated that he was remorseful and ashamed of the crimes he committed.
Every day, I face the facts of what I did and what happened.
Nevertheless, he was still sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.